I planned to go on a business trip for a year. Before leaving, my fiancée asked me to give her the keys to our newly renovated villa. She promised to transfer me $1 every month as rent. I agreed with a smile. The business unexpectedly went smoothly, and I returned to the US in less than 6 months. I planned to give her a surprise, so I didn't notify her in advance. To my surprise, when I rang the doorbell, a stranger answered. He was holding a cat in his arms, with several pet dogs following behind him. After glancing at me holding my briefcase, he waved his hand dismissively. Go away, go away. Our villa is for our own use, not for sale. I froze, thinking I must have come to the wrong place, but when I looked up to double-check the house number, it was indeed the villa I had purchased. No mistake. Still here? I'll call security. Before I could even ask, the unfamiliar man impatiently slammed the door, leaving me standing alone on the doorstep. A shadow of gloom rose in my heart. The carefully prepared gift box in my briefcase suddenly felt unbearably heavy. Hey, this is a high-end community. Outsiders can't just loiter here. A security guard jogged over, his face full of wariness. I hastily explained, I'm Mr. Carter, the owner of this house. The security guard frowned and shook his head. Impossible. Mr. Davis has lived here for half a year, and the only homeowners registered with the property office are him and Miss Miller. My heart sank. I was about to speak when a BMW pulled up from a distance. After parking, Chloe Miller stepped out of the car, weighed down by numerous shopping bags. The moment she saw me, she froze. A lipstick fell out of its paper bag unnoticed. Ethan, how are you back? I bent down to pick up that trending shade of lipstick, when suddenly I noticed the engagement diamond ring was missing from her ring finger. The sound of a door opening came from behind me, and that man named Davis poked his head out. Chloe, you're back. The security guard tactfully stepped aside. The three of us stood frozen in place, the air between us turning thick as concrete. After what felt like an eternity, I finally croaked out the question. Chloe, what the hell is going on here? Chloe hesitated before forcing a thin smile. Ethan, let me introduce you. Liam Davies, my junior from UT Austin. He just arrived in Austin and hasn't found a job yet, so I let him stay here for the time being. I stared into Chloe's eyes, my voice as cold as ice. And ended up staying for half a year? Chloe's fingers twisted together involuntarily, her gaze shifting uneasily. And not that long, at most 2 or 3 months. Liam suddenly changed his expression, his face breaking into a wide smile as he hurried over to me in quick strides. Brother Ethan, I'm really sorry just now, didn't recognize you. It's all my fault. You're magnanimous, please don't take it to heart. His voice was sickeningly sweet, as if the arrogant person who had tried to chase me away moments ago wasn't him at all. I watched his performance coldly. He wore expensive loungewear and a wristwatch worth $80,000 on his hand. That was last year, a birthday gift Chloe gave me, charged to my card. Ethan, Chloe said softly, Liam always looked after me at UT, treating me like his own sister. He just arrived in Austin and hasn't found a proper job yet. It's only right that I take care of him. Taking care of things all the way to the villa? I sneered. Even took care of erasing my name from the property register? Liam's eyes darted around before he suddenly slapped his forehead. Oh my, brother Ethan, look at this mess. It's all my fault. Last month when the property management came to update the records, Chloe happened to not be home, so I casually filled in my own contact information. I'll go to the property management right away to explain the situation and have it changed back immediately. He spoke with heartfelt sincerity, but I noticed his right index finger unconsciously tapping against his thigh as he spoke. Moreover, his eyes were darting around. Psychologically speaking, these are classic signs of lying. What struck me more was how he called Chloe Chloe with an intimacy that seemed utterly inappropriate. I didn't lose my temper on the spot. I rushed back from thousands of miles away, straight off the plane. Aren't you going to invite me in? Chloe's expression flickered slightly. Liam's smile froze on his face. The silent exchange of glances between them sent a dull ache through my chest. Ethan, maybe we should do this another day, Chloe said awkwardly. Liam has a lot of pets, and his place is too messy. Before she could finish, I pushed Liam aside and strode into the villa. The moment I stepped inside, I caught a whiff of unfamiliar cologne mixed with Chloe's usual perfume. The living room furnishings had completely changed. The minimalist-style furniture I had carefully selected had all been replaced with gaudy European decor. The photo of us that used to hang on the wall was gone, replaced by a few haphazard abstract paintings. What stung the most were the 2 wine glasses placed on the coffee table. Dark red wine stains remained at the bottom of the glasses, beside an open condom wrapper. Chloe's face flushed crimson as she frantically rushed forward, grabbing the wrapper and throwing it into the trash bin. Don't get me wrong, Liam occasionally brings his girlfriend over to spend the night. Liam quickly chimed in, yeah, brother Ethan, my girlfriend came over last week. Chloe is really nice, not only lets me stay here but also agrees to me bringing friends over. As he spoke, he subtly gauged my reaction out of the corner of his eye, wearing an ingratiating smile. I walked straight towards the master bedroom. Chloe gasped and tried to stop me, but I had already pushed the door open. The bed was a mess of crumpled sheets, and a photo frame sat on the nightstand. In the picture, Chloe and Liam were leaning their heads together, smiling radiantly on the beach. My temples throbbed violently. That was the beach of Coco Island in the Maldives, where we were supposed to have our wedding next year. Chloe's gaze avoided mine, drifting uncertainly to a corner of the room. Ethan, let me explain, she said. Last month the company suddenly arranged a trip to the Maldives to meet French clients. Since Liam happens to be fluent in French, I brought him along as an interpreter. This photo was taken after meeting the clients. I frowned slightly. As I recall, aren't you majored in French yourself? Liam lowered his head slightly, his tone earnest to the point of being humble. Brother Ethan, please don't blame Chloe. She didn't originally want to take me along, but I shamelessly begged her, saying I wanted to see how the world works. He paused, then added, you know how it is. I just arrived in Austin and don't have many friends. Chloe is practically family to me. I stared at Chloe, her eyelashes fluttered slightly, her lips pressed into a tight line. Even beads of sweat had formed at her temples, guilt was practically written all over her face. I asked coldly, oh really, then how does the beach in that photo look exactly like the wedding venue I booked before? Chloe's face turned pale as she forced an explanation. It's just a coincidence. All the beaches in the Maldives look similar. Liam immediately cut in upon seeing this. Ethan, Chloe isn't lying to you. The beaches there really do all look pretty much the same. An ordinary person wouldn't be able to tell them apart at all. My gaze swept across the messy bedroom and the wine glasses on the coffee table. Finally, it settled on Chloe's ring finger. The finger that should have been wearing our engagement ring was now bare. I pointed at her hand and asked, where's the engagement ring I gave you? Chloe's eyes darted away again. I've been learning to do housework lately, and I was afraid I might lose the ring, so I put it away. Just as I was about to speak, Liam suddenly said he was hungry. A look of concern immediately flashed across Chloe's face. I'll make dinner. Please sit for a while, it'll be ready soon. She deftly tied on her apron and took ingredients from the fridge. Watching the busy figures in the kitchen, I suddenly had an illusion. As if they were the true owners of this villa, and I was merely a guest. Chloe skillfully chopped vegetables and heated the pan. When the cooking fumes rose, she didn't even flinch. Suddenly, I recalled the day of our engagement. She joked half seriously, Ethan, you have to promise me one thing. Whether before or after marriage, I'll never do housework. You'll have to pamper me for life. I agreed, and I kept my word. But today, she broke that promise with her own hands. Right before my eyes, she willingly cooked for a junior. Liam lounged on the sofa, legs crossed, a smug smile plastered on his face. He glanced at me and said with feigned enthusiasm, Ethan bro, why don't you stay for dinner too? Chloe's cooking is amazing. I didn't respond. Liam kept rattling on. Chloe's dishes taste like home, even better than restaurant food. I pursed my lips and asked, has she been cooking for you these past few months? 3. Liam nodded without hesitation. Yeah, Chloe takes extra special care of me, cooking different dishes every day and saying it's not easy for me being alone out here. I'm really touched. She's been so good to me. I smiled, a bitter smile. Chloe came out carrying dishes, pausing slightly when she overheard our conversation. She forced a faint smile and set the food on the table. Ethan, try this French red wine beef stew I've been learning recently. I looked at her, speaking slowly. Didn't you say you detested the smell of cooking oil fumes most in this life? And that you'd absolutely never do any housework? Her face stiffened, her fingers unconsciously tightening their grip on the edge of her apron. Seeing this, Liam quickly smoothed things over. Brother Ethan, people change, you know. Chloe has become so virtuous now, isn't that what you wanted to see? I snorted coldly and said nothing more. At the dinner table, Liam kept putting food on Chloe's plate while showering her with compliments. Chloe occasionally responded with a few words, but her eyes never dared to meet mine. The food did taste good, but in my mouth, it felt like chewing wax. Liam placed another piece of beef on Chloe's plate and said affectionately, Chloe, you've lost weight recently. Eat more. He glanced at me out of the corner of his eye, a faint smile playing at the corners of his lips. Chloe lowered her head, picking at the food in her bowl, her cheeks slightly flushed, her voice as soft as a mosquito's hum. Thank you, Liam, you should eat more too. I watched their every move, feeling like a massive stone was pressing down on my chest. I set down my chopsticks and stood up, saying coldly, I'm done eating. Liam feigned surprise. Ethan, are you already full? Chloe's cooking is a rare treat. As he spoke, he used a tissue to wipe the sauce from Chloe's lips. His movements were so natural, as if he had long grown accustomed to it. I ignored them and walked out of the restaurant. Footsteps hurried behind me, and Chloe caught up to grab my sleeve. Ethan, don't get me wrong. I just thought Liam must be having a hard time on his own. That's why. That's why you personally cooked and learned housework for him? I cut her off, my voice laced with sarcasm. Miss Miller, you certainly pamper your junior. Chloe bit her lip and hastily explained, no, it's just that Liam has a sensitive stomach and can't handle takeout. I learned to cook because I was worried he'd go hungry. And he's truly excellent, he's helped me so much at work. Last time, the project with the French client succeeded all thanks to him. Enough. I raised my hand to cut her off, then turned and pushed open the study door. But the sight before me froze my blood in an instant. The mother's portrait hung crookedly on the wall, the glass of the frame cracked with a menacing fissure. Beneath the portrait, her diary and several yellowed letters lay scattered across the desk. They were stained with dried yellow marks, and the air was thick with the pungent stench of cat urine. What the hell happened? My voice trembled with rage. Chloe stammered. It might have been Liam's pet that accidentally. Accidentally? I grabbed the urine-soaked diary, its pages crumbling fragilely in my grasp. This was my mother's keepsake, and he let some damn animal piss all over it? Ethan, calm down. Chloe tried to explain. Liam's dog and cat are usually very well behaved, and he's always careful with them. This must have been an accident. I violently shook off her hand and pointed to the photo album on the shelf bearing teeth marks from being gnawed. Were those accidents too? Everything my mother left behind all ruined. Chloe opened her mouth, but no sound came out. Just then, Liam sauntered lazily to the doorway, still holding a glass of red wine. Sorry, Ethan, bro. My precious ones are a bit shy. Seeing unfamiliar things just makes them wanna wreck stuff. He took a sip of wine and smiled. After all, out with the old, in with the new. Don't worry, I'll have someone reprint these photos tomorrow. I promise they'll look exactly the same as before. I couldn't take it anymore. Grabbing Liam by the collar, I slammed him hard against the wall. Get your damned ass out of here now. For Liam wasn't flustered in the slightest. Instead, he provocatively arched an eyebrow at me. Brother Ethan, let's talk this out properly. Don't get handsy. Chloe screamed and rushed forward, desperately prying my fingers open. Ethan, are you out of your mind? Kicking him out at this hour, where's he supposed to stay? Her nails dug deep into my arm as she looked at Liam with heartache in her eyes. I don't care where he lives. I shook off her grip. He can live in a park or sleep under a bridge, just not here. No. Chloe's voice rose an octave. He's my junior, and I have to take care of him. I laughed in exasperation. Get this straight, whose villa is this? Liam suddenly burst into laughter. Slowly straightening the collar I had crumpled, he said, Ethan, have you had too much to drink? Of course the villa belongs to Chloe. What does it have to do with you? I felt as if struck by lightning and whipped my head around to look at Chloe. Not only did she not offer an explanation, she instead challenged me. The villa is just sitting empty. What's the harm in letting Liam stay for a few days? I retorted, if he lives here, then where will I live? Stay in a hotel for a few days, or go back to your parents' place. What's the big deal? Chloe said nonchalantly. After I help Liam find a place, you can move back in. Upon hearing her words, Liam picked up a ragdoll cat and gently brushed through its fur with his fingers. His eyes instantly reddened. Chloe, could I maybe not move? He lowered his head to nuzzle the cat's head, his voice choking with emotion. See, Snowball has already gotten used to the garden here. Every afternoon, she sunbathes on the lawn. Chloe's expression immediately softened with sympathy as Liam handed the cat toward me. Ethan, brother, feel how gentle Snowball is. The cat suddenly bared its teeth at me, hissing aggressively before swiping its claws directly across the back of my hand. Ouch, Liam exclaimed with deliberate affectation, making sure to pause for half a beat before retrieving the cat. Snowball never acts like this. Must have been terrified by the stranger. He spoke while gently tapping the cat's nose with his fingertip, yet shot me a provocative glance from the corner of his eye. I hadn't even spoken yet when sudden waves of barking erupted from the living room. Turning to look, I saw 3 dogs running wildly around. One poodle was gnawing happily on my prized limited edition sneakers. Oh no, how did all my babies get loose? Liam rushed out in a panic. Good heavens, they must have sensed we're moving, its separation anxiety acting up. He immediately went after the dog, but deliberately charged around the living room, knocking over 2 more bottles of expensive wine from the liquor cabinet. Chloe was frantic with worry. Ethan, look, they really can't just be moved to a new environment like this. Before she could finish speaking, the husky suddenly leapt onto the sofa and peed all over my custom-made cushion. Liam let out an oh no, then slowly pulled out some tissues. Sorry about that, Ethan. He's usually very well behaved and does his business in the backyard. He only did this because he got startled, she said while deliberately spreading the urine stain wider as she wiped. Chloe turned and pulled me aside. Her voice was soft, but her words sent chills down my spine. Ethan, you saw it yourself. Neither Liam nor his pet want to leave this place. How about this? Since there are still vacant villas in this community, you could just buy another one. Let's keep this one for Liam. He's already grown accustomed to living here. I looked into her eyes. Are you planning to give it to him? Of course not as a gift, but as a rental, she said. The rent will be as we agreed before, just $1 a month. I couldn't believe my ears. I stared at her for several seconds before confirming this wasn't a joke. Liam started acting up again at this moment, dramatically hugging the frightened kitten and saying, Ethan, look how you've scared all the little darlings. Maybe you should leave for now. We can talk about whatever this is tomorrow. Leave? I let out a cold laugh as my fury completely erupted. Why should I leave, Chloe Miller? It seems you've completely forgotten your place. The daughter of a mere driver dares to let others trample all over me. Today, if I don't finish off you 2 damned adulterers, I'll write Carter's name backwards. 5. I grabbed Liam's head and slammed it hard onto the table. With a dull thud, his nose bone snapped clean in two. Blood instantly gushed forth, splattering everywhere. Frightened by my ferocity, the cats and dogs all cowered trembling in the corners. "Ethan, you've gone mad!" Chloe screamed as she rushed forward, trying to pull me away. I backhanded her with such force that she crumpled to the ground, her delicate face instantly swelling with 5 vivid red finger marks. "This punch is for my mother," I snarled, yanking Liam up by his hair before driving another fist into his handsome face. 2 front teeth went flying on impact, landing bloodied on the carpet. All his earlier arrogance evaporated as he curled up like a beaten dog, begging through split lips, Ethan bro, I was wrong." Before the words could finish, my knee had already slammed hard into his stomach. He instantly doubled over like a shrimp, vomiting a puddle of filth. "Chloe, help me. He's insane, he's just a madman." Chloe crawled over and hugged my leg, her makeup-smudged face twisted in distress. "Stop, you'll kill him." I shoved her away forcefully, sending her crashing into the coffee table. Condoms and lingerie spilled across the floor from the overturned shopping bag. "Now you're worried about him?" I ground my foot slowly against Liam's wrist. His pig-like squeals of pain mixed with the crisp snapping sound of breaking finger bones. "How could you not feel heartbroken when he wore the watch I gave you, lived in my villa, and broke my mother's keepsake?" Chloe trembled as she pulled out her phone. "Dad, Ethan is going to kill someone. Hurry over here." Her hysterical cries echoed through the living room. Expressionless, I took out my phone and sent several messages in succession. After Chloe finished her call, Liam struggled to his feet, blood-flecked foam spraying from his mouth as he rasped, "You're dead, Ethan. Mr. Miller will be here soon. He'll fucking kill you." No sooner had the words left his mouth than I swung the wine bottle into his knee. Shards of glass exploded outward, wine mingling with blood as it splattered across the carpet and walls. An inhuman shriek tore from his throat, his right leg, the same one that had pressed against Chloe's on the Maldives beaches, now twisted at a sickening angle. "Ethan, you bastard." Chloe pounced on Liam, shielding him with her body. "Go ahead, try to kill me too. Liam, don't be afraid, my dad will be here any minute." I had just pulled Chloe away when a furious roar came from outside. "Stop right there, let go of my daughter." The Millers and her brother Ryan burst in. Seeing Liam in Chloe's miserable state, the trio's faces instantly turned ashen. "Ethan, have you lost your damn mind?" Ryan was the first to charge forward, grabbing my collar with one hand while raising his clenched fist high. "If you dare lay a finger on my little sister, I swear I'll break your legs today." Mrs. Miller threw herself beside Chloe. Seeing the swollen red marks on her daughter's face, she immediately burst into hysterical sobs. "My precious daughter, what misfortune befell you to encounter such a brute of a violent madman?" Mr. Miller walked over to Liam with a dark expression, examining his injuries. Liam immediately seized this lifeline, sobbing, "Mr. Miller, Ethan has gone mad. He looked like he wanted to eat people alive just now. If you had arrived a moment later, Chloe and I would have been beaten to death by him." "Shut up," I snapped sharply, shaking off Ryan's hand. "Why don't you ask what these 2 bastards have done?" 6. Slap. Mr. Miller suddenly raised his hand and struck me across the face with such force that blood seeped from the corner of my mouth. "You filthy scoundrel. Even if Chloe did something to upset you, you shouldn't have hit her. Since she was little, she's been the apple of our whole family's eye. We don't even have the heart to scold him once." Mrs. Miller also burst out angrily, "Ethan, if it weren't for my husband saving your father's life back then, would the Carter family have come this far? Is this how you repay our Miller family now?" I wiped the blood from the corner of my mouth and sneered, "Mr. Miller, you did save my father back then, but over these past 20 years, haven't the Carters given enough back to the Millers? Who funded the rescue of your failing logistics company? Who paid for your son's college tuition? And who bought those luxury cars parked at your house?" Ryan tried to charge forward again but was stopped by Mr. Miller. "Ethan, I don't care what happened, hitting someone is never justified," Mr. Miller declared sternly, "especially when it's Chloe, your own fiancée. How could you lay a hand on her?" "Fiancé? What a fine fiancé." I pointed at the mess scattered across the floor. "Perhaps you should ask your precious daughter if she's even worthy of that title." The Millers froze. Chloe buried herself in her mother's embrace, sobbing, "Dad, Ethan went crazy as soon as he got back. All because I let Liam stay here temporarily." "Just staying temporarily?" I strode toward the study, yanking out the urine-soaked heirloom the cat had ruined and hurling it to the floor. "Staying until you've destroyed all of my mother's belongings? Staying until you've taken over my villa as your own?" Mr. Miller's expression faltered slightly, but his angry glare quickly returned. "Even so, you can't resort to violence. Liam probably didn't mean to damage your mother's things. What couldn't we discuss properly?" I laughed bitterly in anger. "Fine, first ask your daughter how many calls I've made to her these past 6 months. Every time she claimed to be busy with work, hanging up in under a minute. And the truth? Turns out she was busy cooking meals for this pretty boy and fooling around in my bed. That's a lie, Chloe immediately shrieked. Liam and I are completely innocent. Everyone knows I've always treated him like a younger brother. You're the one with filthy thoughts. A dirty mind sees filth everywhere. I grabbed the condom wrapper from the floor along with the unopened package of lingerie. Then what's this? Don't tell me he brought his girlfriend over again to use these. Chloe was momentarily lost for words. But Mrs. Miller suddenly interjected, Ethan, you've disappointed me so much. Chloe was pampered since childhood, yet she's learning to cook and do housework for you now. Instead of being grateful, you're slandering her. As for these personal items, she must have bought them for you too. Stop making false accusations. She's always been known as a well-behaved girl since she was little. When hasn't she received praise from relatives and friends? There are plenty of men who want to marry her. If it weren't for your father, I would never have agreed to let her marry you. But you don't even know how to cherish her. I couldn't be bothered to argue with them, so I pulled out my phone and played a video, projecting it onto the living room TV. Soon, the 85-inch giant screen displayed an unbearable scene. Chloe and Liam were entangled in passion on my marital bed, with our engagement photo still hanging above the headboard. Impossible, Chloe screamed, lunging at the television, her nails screeching across the screen. When we changed the furniture, I specifically had people remove all these surveillance. Room 7. All removed, right? I sneered while pulling up another footage. Too bad the workers you hired weren't professional enough to discover the backup camera hidden in the chandelier. I've already had someone extract the most thrilling parts. Mr. Miller's face instantly turned ashen as he grabbed his daughter's wrist. Chloe, are these videos real? Liam suddenly lunged forward, dragging his broken leg as he made a grab for my phone. Fabricated at first glance. These are all deepfakes, Mr. Miller, don't believe any of it. I kicked him away and pointed at the nearby trash can. If you think the video's fake, then call the police to test the DNA. The stuff inside should be from this morning. Still fresh. Chloe's face instantly turned deathly pale. Mr. Miller and Ryan also looked grim. Mrs. Miller rushed forward and grabbed my arm. Ethan, Chloe must have just lost her mind momentarily. After all these years of feelings between you two, a momentary lapse? I scoffed, shaking off her hand as I pulled up another video. In the footage, Chloe was sitting on Liam's lap, feeding him grapes. Liam, once that idiot comes back, you won't have to move out either. If he's not willing, I'll make a scene until he buys another villa for himself. After all, the Carters have plenty of money, Liam wheedled. Chloe, you're not really going to marry him, are you? I can't bear to part with you, Chloe replied with a helpless bitter smile. I don't want to marry either, but my father would never agree to it. Don't worry, I'll find a way to delay the wedding when the time comes. Then we'll find a good excuse to make him call off the engagement himself. The living room fell into deathly silence. Ryan suddenly turned and punched Liam. You bastard! How dare you mess with my sister? Brother! Chloe screamed as she shielded Liam with her body. Don't blame him. I was the one who initiated it. Liam is 100 times gentler than Ethan. He'd never make me wait for messages until midnight. Her words stabbed into my heart like knives. So in her eyes, my working day and night for the family business to give her a better life had become a crime instead. When I was 8 years old, my father's car lost control on the mountain road and crashed through the guardrail. It was Mr. Miller who risked his life, prying open the deformed car door with his bare hands. He pulled my barely conscious father out just before the car plunged off the cliff. I remember visiting the hospital and seeing his fingers wrapped in bandages, yet he still smiled and patted my head. Don't be afraid, little Ethan. Your dad will be just fine. After father recovered, he gave Mr. Miller a large sum of money and even helped him start a logistics company. Every Christmas, our two families would celebrate together. Chloe, dressed in a red dress, sat on her father's lap like a little princess. Meanwhile, I hid behind my mother to sneak glances at her. Little Ethan, father would always tease, Chloe is so pretty. How about making her your future wife? Hearing these words, Chloe would blush and bury her face in her father's embrace, while I would run away awkwardly, making the adults burst into laughter. At 15, my mother passed away from illness. At the funeral, I hid in the small room behind the church and cried my heart out. It was Chloe who found me, saying nothing. She simply held me gently, humming the lullaby my mother had loved most. From that day on, I secretly vowed to be good to her for the rest of my life. Heartbroken, father's health deteriorated day by day. Before passing, he laboriously clasped my hand and Chloe's together. Chloe, uncle entrusts little Ethan to you from now on. Chloe wept copiously, nodding repeatedly. At that moment, I thought this was the most beautiful form love could take. 8. After getting engaged, I practically offered her the whole world on a silver platter. I remember once when she casually mentioned liking Parisian starry skies, I immediately booked a revolving restaurant and projected the entire Milky Way across its dome. When she said she wanted to learn piano, a Steinway grand piano was delivered to her house the very next day. Even when she got angry and smashed an antique vase, I just smiled and asked if she'd cut her hand. I gave my whole heart to her, never imagining she would change after just 6 months apart. The Millers exchanged glances before simultaneously dropping to their knees, their aged faces streaked with tears as they begged me to forgive Chloe. Ethan, Chloe just had a momentary lapse, she still cares for you. Mrs. Miller wept hysterically, clutching desperately at my pant leg. Please, for the sake of our family's long-standing friendship, give her one more chance. Mr. Miller also pleaded with a trembling voice, Ethan, your uncle has never begged anyone in his life, but today I'm begging you. I expressionlessly withdrew my leg, my voice cold as ice. No amount of pleading will change my mind. I'll never take back a woman who betrayed me. Liam Davis must pay the price today. Chloe stood aside, glaring at me with venom in her eyes. Dad, Mom, stop begging him. Ethan is just a bully who relies on his family's status. I'd rather marry a dog than him. I let out a cold laugh, my gaze sharp as a blade sweeping across her face. Fine, it's settled, I said, then turned and walked toward Liam in the corner. He was curled up on the ground, his face bruised and bleeding. Seeing me approach, he trembled in fear, desperately trying to shrink back. Brother Ethan, I was wrong. I really know I was wrong. His voice trembled, his face smeared with tears, snot, and blood mingled together. Those things, I'll pay for them. I grabbed him by the collar and dragged him to the study door, pointing at the ruined relics on the floor. Pay? With what? This was the last memento my mother left. Did you even consider the consequences when you let your damned dog piss on it? Liam frantically shook his head, stammering incoherently. I didn't mean to. Those cats and dogs didn't know any better. I didn't know any better? I sneered, kicking him hard in his injured knee. He let out a shriek and collapsed to his knees, trembling uncontrollably. Then let me teach you what it means to know better. I grabbed the wine bottle from the table and smashed it viciously against his head. Shards of glass flew everywhere, blood streaming down his forehead. Howling in pain, he clutched his head and crawled toward Chloe like a stray dog. Chloe, save me, please save me. Chloe's heart ached unbearably as she urgently grabbed Ryan's arm. Brother, quickly help Liam. Instead of helping her, Ryan stepped forward and mercilessly beat Liam. His fists rained down like hail, each blow filled with brutal force, as if determined to shatter Liam's bones into powder. Brother, have you lost your mind? Chloe screamed, lunging forward only to be shoved aside by Ryan. Stumbling back, she fell to the ground, watching helplessly as Liam was beaten until blood foamed at his mouth, his face swollen beyond recognition. Enough, Mr. Carter? Ryan paused, turning to look at me with an ingratiating smile plastered across his face. If you're still not satisfied, I'll break another one of his legs. I stood to the side with my arms crossed, saying nothing. Chloe trembled as she crawled toward Liam, pulling him into her embrace. Tear after heavy tear fell onto his body. When she looked up at me, her eyes were full of venom, as if I were some utterly wicked sinner. Ethan Carter, you'll get what's coming to you, she rasped out in a hoarse curse. I let out a cold laugh and snapped my fingers. The lawyers and notaries waiting outside immediately entered, clutching thick stacks of documents. Their footsteps echoed unnervingly through the dead silence of the living room, every step seeming to stomp directly on the Miller family's hearts. I spoke flatly. Announce at 9. The lawyer adjusted his glasses and declared in an emotionless tone, per Mr. Carter's instructions, we are formally withdrawing all investments from Miller Logistics and nullifying the engagement with Ms. Chloe Miller. In addition, Mr. Liam Davis is required to compensate for all damages caused to this villa, including furniture, artwork, and other valuables. The estimated total exceeds $35 million. $35 million? Liam struggled to raise his blood-streaked face from Chloe's embrace, his eyes wide with terror. Where would I get that kind of money? Can't afford to pay. I looked down at him with a faint smirk curling at the corner of my lips. Then prepare to rot in prison. Mr. Miller turned deathly pale, staggering forward a few steps. Ethan, you can't do this. After all these years of friendship between our families, I cut him off, my gaze icy. Mr. Miller, what your daughter trampled upon was far more than just friendship. And my mother. Mrs. Miller wailed, Ethan, I beg you, for the sake of my husband saving your father's life, spare the Miller family. And Chloe, she was just momentarily confused, committing a mistake any woman could easily make. My gaze swept across Chloe's face, which had once haunted my dreams. Now, her makeup was ruined by tears, yet her eyes still burned with defiance. Just a momentary lapse of judgment? I sneered. 6 months is more than enough time for her to realize what she's been doing. Seeing this, Ryan quickly stepped forward, his tone ingratiating. Mr. Carter, our Miller family has wronged you in this matter. Rest assured, from now on we'll make sure Chloe is properly disciplined. As for that bastard Liam, deal with him as you see fit. Brother, I'm your own sister. Chloe widened her eyes in disbelief. How could you side with an outsider like this? Ryan paid her no heed, instead turning to roar at Liam. You bastard, why haven't you knelt and apologized to Mr. Carter yet? Liam shuddered all over, struggled to his feet, and knelt before me, kowtowing repeatedly. Mr. Carter, I was wrong. Please show mercy. I didn't look at him but turned my gaze to Crow-Eye instead. Do you have anything else to say? She bit her lip so hard it began to bleed. I hate you, Ethan Carter. Good. I nodded to the lawyer. Have them sign the documents. The lawyer spread out the papers one by one on the table, while the notary prepared the camera to record the entire process. Mr. Miller's hand trembled as he picked up the pen. Before signing, he pleaded once more, Ethan, without the investment, the company will go bankrupt. How will my whole family? How will we survive? That's your problem, I coldly interrupted. Sign now, or I call the police this instant. Mr. Miller finally signed his name on the document, followed closely by Mrs. Miller and Ryan. When it was Chloe's turn, she glared at me fiercely, her pen tip nearly piercing through the paper. Ethan Carter, I swear, you'll regret this. She gnashed her teeth. The only thing I regret is seeing your true colors too late. After signing the documents, the lawyer collected the paperwork, and the notary public declared the proceedings complete. I turned and walked toward the door, Chloe's cries echoing behind me. Ethan, how could you do this to me? I didn't look back, merely leaving a detached remark. From this moment, you have 12 hours to vacate my villa. If you overstay, I'll have security escort you out. Stepping out of the villa gates, the night breeze brushed against my cheeks. When I left 6 months ago, I had returned full of anticipation to spend the rest of my life with her. Now, all that remained upon my return was a scene of devastation. Suddenly, my phone vibrated, a message from my assistant. Mr. Carter, we've frozen all the Miller family accounts as requested and contacted the media to prepare tomorrow's statement. I replied with a single good and looked up at the starry sky. My mother once said that life is like a long journey. Some people are destined to have only fleeting intersections. Back then, I didn't quite understand. Now I finally understand. Chloe was just passing through my life. Early the next morning, I stood by the floor-to-ceiling windows of the villa, watching the Miller family haul away their luggage in disarray. Liam was dragged away like a dead dog. Chloe followed behind, her eyes vacant. When she looked up and saw me by the window, flames of anger instantly ignited in her eyes, only to be quickly replaced by despair. From today onward, she was no longer the privileged future daughter-in-law of the Carter family. Instead, she was a debt-ridden spendthrift. An assistant knocked and entered. Mr. Carter, the media has released a statement. Miller Logistics declared bankruptcy this morning. I nodded. With one last look at the place that once held all my beautiful dreams, I turned and left. Sell this place, I said as I stepped out of the villa gate, the sunlight just right. The end.